Thanks for subscribing to my channel. Today we're going to talk about what is wholesaling. So I get a lot of people that reach out to me on Facebook and Instagram wanting to know how to get started in this business and exactly what this business is. So most people have no clue what wholesaling is, what goes into it, what they need to learn, who they need to follow. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it is. Basically what wholesaling is, there's many options of things that you can do for sellers. You're marketing out to sellers, could be through text message, could be through mail, could be through pay-per-click, using Google advertising, Bing. What you're doing to the sellers is you're reaching out to them and see if they have any interest in selling their house. And a lot of times these sellers are in distressed situations. So for instance, they may have inherited a house from a family member. If that house was inherited, they may not be able to afford the payments. They may have a house that they inherited that has been a hoarder house for 30 years, 40 years. Maybe it was an elderly family member in there and the repairs just got out of hand. So that's where we come in as wholesalers. We go to those homeowners and we offer them a way out. So we're going to them and saying, hey, Mr. Seller, instead of listing your house on the market with a realtor, where you're gonna have to clean all this stuff out, you're gonna have to potentially repair some things when it goes through an inspection, we're gonna offer you a cash price for the house. That cash price gives you the ability to leave everything behind that you want, and you don't need to clean anything out. If you want a chance to go through some of the belongings to grab your family heirlooms or anything like that, you have the ability to do it. But what we're going to do for you is we're going to clean everything out of the house for you. If you need stuff moved, maybe we'll help you move. You need money to help with the moving, maybe we'll help with that as well. There's so many different options that we can offer as wholesalers as we talk to these sellers. And some of the things that we do, for my company, we do about 99% assignments. So we go out to the seller, we meet with them, we give them a cash offer. If they accept it and they sign our contract, what we're looking at doing is we're looking to assign that contract to a cash buyer. So we will have to show the house, usually a couple times, to different buyers to see if they potentially have any interest. But the buyers are going to look at, what are the repairs for the house? Do I need to add a new kitchen? Do I need to add a new bathroom? Do I need to clean out 3-4 dumpsters worth of stuff? We've had houses in the past that have taken 12 roll-off dumpsters to actually pull stuff out of it. And that's a lot of crap accumulated over years. So the seller doesn't have to do that. We don't even have to do that in most cases. The buyer actually takes care of it, because all we're doing, getting the house under contract with the seller and assigning that interest to the buyer for a fee. So we may get a $20,000, $30,000 wholesale fee by assigning that interest off to a buyer. Now for the buyers, the reason this is good for them is because as houses hit the MLS, there's a lot of competition. So they want to buy off-market properties if they can, because they can come out, they can see the property, they can analyze everything, they can look to see if it's a good deal for them, and they may pay us a wholesale fee, but it's included in the price anyway. So it still doesn't affect them getting hard money or using their private money lenders or even cash. Wholesaling is a good way for buyers to obtain properties. So you'll build a buyer's list of cash buyers in your area. There's lots of ways to do this, and we'll get into that in other videos. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to compile a list of cash buyers. You're going to meet with each of them, talk to them on the phone, whatever it is you want to do to build that relationship. You're going to become their go-to wholesaler to assign houses off to. And the first time they work with you, it's always going to be a little difficult because you want things done your way, they want things done their way. But you guys can come to a compromise. Basically what you're doing is you're having them sign a contract that they're purchasing your interest in the seller's house. So this happens over 100 times a year for our company. We do this in Southern California, which I strongly believe is one of the toughest markets in the country to do this. And we go out, we still acquire over 100 houses a year, or contracts on 100 houses a year, and then we assign that interest off. Now we will fix and flip some of them depending if the spread is large enough for us. If we have the ability to get a 6-figure return, it would make sense for us to potentially take that house down, close on it, and then do the rehab ourselves and resell it with a realtor. So let's talk about what wholesalers can do to help a homeowner as they're in a situation where they need to sell. So a lot of times homeowners that call us, we deal with a lot of elderly people. So my word of caution for you is you need to be very careful dealing with the elderly. There's a lot of elderly laws, elderly abuse laws, protections for them. So you want to make sure that you're treating them right. You want to make sure that they have the ability to sign, that they're all there. We've had sellers potentially in the past that just didn't seem like they were all there. We didn't really think they'd have the ability to sign the contract and be able to go through with the sale without a family member being involved. So a lot of times when we deal with elderly people, we like to make sure that their family knows what's going on and that their family's on board with it as well. Because the last thing that we want to deal with is potentially a lawsuit later where a daughter comes back and says, well, my dad sold you this house way cheaper than market value. He didn't have the ability to actually sell the house because he wasn't all there mentally. So you have to be careful when you do this kind of stuff. But for us, when we're talking to these elderly people, they may be going into a nursing home because the repairs on their house may have gotten to be too much. A lot of these homes we go into that have elderly people, we start finding out that, the roof needs to be replaced. There was leaks, kitchen's really outdated. And for us, we'd be able to go in there and say, hey, don't worry about fixing any of this stuff. Versus if a realtor came in and said, hey, yeah, we can sell the house for you, we can list it a little bit higher, but you're probably gonna have to repair the roof once it's inspected and go that direction. We'll take care of all of that for them. We've actually been to houses, dropped off moving boxes for them. If they really are in bad shape and they're really looking to get into potentially a nursing home, we'll send them movers. We'll pay for the whole thing. It might cost us $1,000, $2,000, depending on how much stuff they have. But we say, hey, you just tell us what you want to take. You just point. The movers will pack it all for you, put it in the truck, and get you moved over to your nursing home. We've done a lot of things like that. We've worked with nursing homes as well, where they need the down payment to actually pay for nursing care. And we'll go ahead and pay that nursing home for them, and we'll get reimbursed at the close of escrow out of their proceeds. So wholesaling is frowned on in a lot of ways. A lot of realtors that are older, just not quite with the times, a lot of those realtors look at it and say, oh no, you don't want to go with a wholesaler. They're just out there to screw you over and take your money. Well, look at the realtor side of it, right? The realtors are making a commission when they sell the house. So we may be getting paid a wholesale fee, but I understand there's different ends of the spectrum, but we're not having to go through all the inspections like a realtor's having to do in most cases. And we can make it really simple and easy for the homeowner. Now, I'm not saying realtors are bad. Realtors are great. We work with them all the time. They actually bring a lot of buyers for us. But as wholesaling becomes more of a thing and it's growing, there's so many people like you that are trying to get into doing this that it's becoming more well known. But there's two ends to this. There are people like my company that go out and we meet with a seller and we get the house under contract. Then there's other people out there that don't want to do that front end. They don't want to do the hard part, right? They want to look for companies like mine that work with the seller. They get on our buyers list posing as a buyer, mark up the property, and try to sell it off to another buyer. That's called daisy chain. In most states, that's highly illegal. In California, it's very illegal. So make sure that, if you're one of those people that's looking at doing a daisy chain deal, you're looking at helping somebody move a deal, make sure that you are working with them. You're getting a signed contract to have the contractual interest in the property to be able to do that. That comes in the form of what's called a JV agreement or a joint venture agreement. Now, my disclaimer is I am not an attorney, so make sure that you talk to an attorney in your state. If you want to take the word of another wholesaler in your state, that works great as well. Personally, I recommend everybody talk to an attorney before you do wholesaling. You want to make sure that your contracts wasn't just something that you downloaded from Google or something like that. You need to make sure that your contract is legal in your state. You don't want to get yourself into any legal battles or anything like that with sellers or buyers. But when it comes to JVing, basically what you're going to do is if you can potentially help somebody move a property, another wholesaler, you're going to go to them and you're going to say, hey, Mr. Wholesaler, I've got a buyer for your property at 123 Main Street. I'd like to get about $5,000 for doing it. Do you mind if I throw a $5,000 markup on this? I just need you to sign this JV agreement, giving me the right to do that. That's what makes that legal. So many people don't understand that aspect of it. We have people that put out our properties every day posing as buyers. And then we find out later they were actually a wholesaler and they're actually interfering with our contract. So those people don't work well with us. We typically don't work with people that don't follow the law properly. I recommend you don't either. But there are a lot of times where wholesalers can work together. There's a lot of wholesalers in my area that are very well known. We work together on a lot of deals because I may have a buyer that they don't. But as long as you're working together and it's known and you have that contractual interest, it makes it legal. I always recommend, again, talk to an attorney just to make sure that wholesaling is legal in your state. I know there's some states that are cracking down on this if you don't have a real estate license. So make sure you talk to somebody in your state to find out the legalities. The last thing you want to do is have an issue with that. California, the real estate board, if things are not done properly, they'll come after you. And I know wholesalers that have gotten letters from them, many that have succeeded through things, but they've gotten letters from the board saying, hey, you can't be doing this without a real estate license. You need to obtain that license. On my end, I don't have a real estate license in my office because it does come with a lot more liability having a license and wholesaling, because you have an obligation to your broker and the real estate board. So for me, we don't want to have one in our office. We partner with realtors in any houses that we need to sell, and we work together with realtors every single day. But when you go to wholesale, there's a lot of options you can do. Like I said, we do about 99% assignments in our business. You also have the option to double close, which means you're actually closing on the property and then advertising it to an end buyer. You have the option for seller financing and lease options. We don't do a lot of those in California. They're not illegal here. We just are in a very tough market, very competitive market. So those don't come up as much as a potential wholesaler double close opportunity. There's a lot of people out there that do a ton of seller financing stuff. So I recommend looking at some of those videos and seeing if you can apply that within your state. Basically what we're trying to do, bottom line as a wholesaler, is we're trying to offer a one-stop shop for that seller that can help them get to their end goal. And if their end goal is getting rid of that house without having to do the work, we're the people for them. If the house is potentially in great shape, doesn't really need any repairs, a realtor is probably a better way to go for them. And we pass those leads off to realtors that we partner with, so they can go out, get the listings on the property, and basically for us, we charge them a marketing fee for that. They come back, give us a percentage of their deal. That's fantastic for us because it's leads that we wouldn't have worked in the first place that now we have the ability to make our money back on. And we don't make a ton on those, but at least we have the ability to make our marketing funds back that we use to market to that seller. So if you want to get into wholesaling, keep watching my videos, follow other people out there that are very good at this. Max Maxwell, Sean Terry with Flip to Freedom. Follow those guys as well because they're providing so much info to help you get going. You don't need to start with a mentor. You don't need to go pay someone $50,000, $60,000 to get you going on these things. Bottom line, just watch videos. Start learning the business. Then get out there and start doing. Trying to see what you need to learn more of. You won't know what you don't know until you get out there and start knocking on doors, talking to sellers. As they stump you, then you're going to start realizing, oh, this is the thing I need to learn. And now you go look for videos to help do that. So if you want to get going, get out there and do it. That's what it's going to take. Watch videos at night, do during the day. You may have a full-time job, so it may be that you're going out and trying to talk to sellers on weekends and doing things like that. Pick up the phone, cold call, do something versus just sitting all day long and thinking about what you want to do next. Take action. So that'll be it for this one here. If you have any questions, post them out on YouTube. Reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next video.